Hey, so almost exactly 3 years ago, I started my first social media marketing agency right at the beginning of COVID when I was seeing YouTube videos talking about how people in my niche were losing 90% of their clients within a 2 week period. Over the next few months, I started experimenting with different price points, different products, different service offerings. I started somewhere in the $150 to $300 month to month price range, and I was, upselling ISA services and this and that. It was actually pretty dry for the first few months. I only had a few clients coming in. I was making a few $100 a month, which was cool. But at such a low price point, it was really difficult to get a lot of clients in and to get a lot of revenue coming in. So what I did was when July came around, I started a different cold email outreach method. And before that, I don't even know what I was doing. Maybe I was doing a little bit of cold email, but I tried a different cold email outreach method. Mass outreach, sending boatloads of emails to a bunch of different people. I was running 10 email accounts with Outlook and just sending a bunch of messages a day. And I actually closed my first client at a $2,400 a month retainer. So I got a 3-month deal for $7,200 in revenue in one shot in July of 2020, but it was a split pay over 3 months, so the cash was the $2,400. And I was off to a really good start actually, but there was a pretty significant problem that kicked in really early for me, which I'm sure a lot of you are already facing. So with these 10 cold email accounts that I was running, I stopped hitting the inbox and my lead flow drastically decreased by 80-90% pretty much overnight. So now it's somewhere in the area of, August, September. I'm creating new email accounts. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, trying to get things back up and running. And I kind of struggled to be able to hit the inbox from there. As I was doing cold email, I was getting more and more desperate because I couldn't hit inbox. I wasn't getting as many leads and my messages weren't working as well, whatever it was. So instead of doing the rational thing, which is going, oh, let's fix this problem and learn how to hit the inbox better, I started selling a course instead. So stupid. Now, from there, I had a bit of a dry streak. Honestly, I was, from the August, September area through to November, December, things weren't really working for me. So I actually went back to doing done for you like an absolute genius. So jumping back into done for you, what I started doing was selling, 3 $500 trials just because I was like, I just want to make some cash because I was making almost nothing. Now, I was really good at, saving my money. So even though I had a few $1,000s, which was pretty good, honestly, I was spending maybe $100 a month or something like that, $150 a month. So that was able to last me a really long time. So I had a long runway before running out of money in my business because I kept my expenses low. So you should always obviously be looking to keep your expenses low. Business is a game of financials. So if you're not doing that, then figure it out. Now, at this point, it's December, January. I'm finally starting to sell some of these 3 $500 trials. I'm putting money into the ad budget and I'm delivering leads to these people. I think I probably sold like 3 or 4 of these things and I don't think anybody actually signed on to work with me after. So then I was like, maybe this isn't a good idea. So being the absolute genius that I am, and I'm so proud of this, I started selling a done with you program. So essentially what I was doing is I was selling it was like $2,000 or $2,500 package where I'd build everything out for the client and then they would go out and kind of take it from there. It was like a course mixed with setup so that they could take my system and then go and use it for themselves into the future. Now from there, this is where I started to see months where I was making $2,000, $3,000, even to the point where in March of 2021, I had a $6,000 month. At this point, what I was doing for outreach was still cold email, and I had actually found a new method that was working quite well for me right in this kind of January, February, March area of 2021. Essentially, it was personalized cold email instead of mass cold email. I know that's not some like rocket science thing. It's pretty old. It's nothing new. You've probably heard of personalized cold email by now. But I found certain websites to, contact people through and this kind of thing in order to make my personalized cold emails, a lot more personalized and a lot more different from what everybody else is sending out normally. So yeah, I had that good month in March. And then from there, April, May, I don't remember exactly what my numbers were. I think I went like down to 0 and then up a little bit. Throughout the summer of 2021, I kept on selling that Done With You program. I think I increased my price from $2,000 up to $2,500. And I was selling those, 1, 2 a month. So I got up to that $3,000, $4,000 a month range. One of my major issues that I was facing at this point was I had a complete and utter lack of confidence. It was sad. I mean, okay, it wasn't that bad, but it was kind of bad where my goals became very small. And what I mean is, in September, October of 2021, I was thinking, oh, well, by the end of 2022, I can be, maybe consistently at $10,000 a month. And, you might be watching this thinking, well, that's good money. And it is. But what I learned later, which I'll explain shortly, is that I was dead wrong, and you can do it way faster than that. You can scale way faster than that. I mean, that was a triple that I was looking at, a double, a triple that I was looking at in over a year. At this scale, it's really not hard to double or triple. Like, you can increase your revenue by 5 times, 10 times year over year without much challenge. So my confidence is in this bad place. I started working in a mindset coaching program that I joined, and I used to be a complete pessimist. I saw the downside of everything. So that really helped me become more optimistic, set bigger goals for myself. Then my goal became $30K a month by the end of 2022. But going back actually about a month, this is where my genius brain kicked in again. And I went, oh, wait a second. Selling this done with you program is really working quite well for me, and it's bringing in the money. Let's change it up. So like the smart boy I was, I started selling done for you again. And not only did I start selling done for you, I started selling done for you at $12,000. This is so sad. Looking back, I was such an idiot. So at this point, September of 2021, I had about $17,000 saved up in the bank from these sales that had come in, living at home, didn't have a car. I don't even have a car today. I just don't have a need for one. I can Uber places, whatever it is. But yeah, I had about $17,000 saved up, and I wanted to scale my cold emails a little bit more because they're working well for me. So I scaled my cold emails. I started spending about $2,000 a month or so on a VA team sending out cold emails for me, as well as the VA team was helping me launch some client accounts and do this kind of thing. And I had been working with the VA agency for context, I think since June of 2021. So at this point I was already with them for a few months, but I want to scale things further because things are working well for me, and I just need to do more of what I'm doing in order to get more results. So stupid coupled with charging some ridiculous amount that hardly even made any sense, but I did it. And, so now I'm bleeding a little over $2,000, $2,500 a month, and I made no sales in September. I made no sales in October. I made no sales in November. I made no sales in December. So now I'm down like a lot of my money. I bought that coaching program, which was $6,000. So maybe I was only spending like, $1,500 a month or something like that, or $1,200, whatever. In January, I had $2,300. I made a $500, $600 sale out of desperation. And it was do or die. I had to, my software expenses at this point, because I had high level, my software expenses at this point, because I was on the unlimited plan, were like $500 a month, $400, I don't know, something like that, because I had like I don't know, I had a couple things. And I figured, well, I can drag out this $2,300 over 2 months and have almost half of it go into software, or I can go all in, Hail Mary in February, or January, February, double my cold email, pay for 1 month of software, and pray. And that's what I did. I spent all the money that I had on software and on cold email. I said, screw it. I'm going to go in. If this doesn't work, I'll figure it out. So that's what happened. And fast forward to, actually, I think it was like the 4th day of February of 2022. I got this memory on my Snapchat just the other day. And it was me saying, just close the deal at like $3,400 or something like that. And I was like, thank God I got a deal that came in. A week later, I got another, and then I got another, and then I got another a couple weeks later. So in February, I ended up doing like 13.7K in revenue and over 10K in cash. So it was my first official month over 10K in cash and over 10K in revenue as well. And I was so relieved. But then at that point, what happened was now I had these new clients to work with, and I was like all over the place. I was doing a bunch of work I didn't even need to do. And like I was completely stressed out. I wasn't able to work enough. I was getting stress headaches every single day for like 5, 6, 7 hours a day. I had to talk to my doctor about it. It was crazy. And I like couldn't keep up. I was so overwhelmed because I was doing almost everything on the client service side of things. And I know I said I had a VA agency helping me with the launching client accounts. I actually might be wrong. I may not have had that VA agency at this time because I was mad stressed in Feb 2022. So from there, I recovered some cash. I went back up to like 10K in the bank. And then I think, March I did like 2 sales and I did like 6K. I think April I did 0 sales. Then May I did another like 6-7K, something like that. And then June, what happened was I did 26K in a month because I started going even further on my cold emails in May, which compounded into June. So then I had done my first month over 20K in cash. I did like 21K in cash, and my revenue is 26K, or it might have been 24, whatever it was. And then I ran into another pretty major issue. So when I was having those email delivery problems, I talked about this in another video, but basically I started using one of my personal email accounts to send cold emails because the delivery rates are higher when you have an email that's already established, has a good sender reputation, this kind of thing. So that email started going to spam, and then I was pretty much bone dry on leads except for a LinkedIn bot that I was using, which gave me like 10 leads a month, which is like nothing. So now it's June of 2022. I've got no leads coming in. I need it to, I'm looking at these tools for warming up emails. It takes like 90 days. I'm hating myself. I'm like, I'm such an idiot. I knew I should have done this before, but I wanted to save my money because I was traumatized, having so little cash in the bank, and having little cash gave me more headaches. I didn't do the smart thing and prep myself and have backup cold email accounts. Lesson learned, have backup cold email accounts at any given time. And then I also started in the summer doing Facebook ads in the meantime, so that I could get some deal flow coming in. Now, for Facebook ads, I started spending somewhere in the range of $3,000 or $4,000 a month. And then within the first month, I broke even. And then, the next month, this was like, I started in July, then in August, I think I was doubling my money roughly, something like that. Maybe it was like a 4x rev, 2x cash. And what I mean is, if I'm spending $3,000, I'm getting $12,000 in revenue, but only $6,000 in cash only. It's a lot of money. What I mean is I was only doubling my money within an ad campaign. And if you don't already know this, with paid ads, the more money you spend, the lower your margins get and the more expensive it is to acquire a client. So if you're only doing a 2x cash, when you're first starting out with a paid ad system, you're not in a good position to be scaling that really hard. So then I was thinking, well, I might as well just brute force it with Facebook ads and try to figure this whole thing out. So off I went, and then through a coaching program I was previously in, I saw a guy post in the group, and he was saying, hey, I really appreciate you all, just want to connect with some of you guys, whatever. And I was like, I think this is the guy who's doing like 300K a month in his business or something like that. I said, sure, I'll DM him. I DM him, and we end up hopping on a call. Then I find out after that he's actually doing one-to-one coaching. And I thought, well, one of my biggest regrets to date, and this is, we're looking at August of 2022, I'm thinking one of my biggest regrets to date has been not working with a coach. So I went, okay, well, I'll go and work with this guy. Ends up being like just under $5,000 a month for in the range of 4 to 6 calls a month. Plus I had him as support on WhatsApp, so I could ask him any questions, he'd respond, voice notes, this kind of thing. And from there into September, he basically got me going into my CRM, doing a whole bunch of stuff to, get business out of what was already there. August and September of 2022 were both around 25K. And then from there, we were prepping up YouTube ads to launch YouTube ads at the start of October. So we launched YouTube ads at the start of October. And then October was kind of slow. I was actually worried in the first 1 to 2 weeks because my YouTube ads were spending, lead costs were like $150. And I was like, oh no, right? So I was a little bit worried about this, but I knew I was good in sales. I thought, okay, if I can get this lead cost down, I will 100% make money, and honestly, probably lots. So I started, working really hard on that. And one thing I learned here is that when you're running Google or YouTube ads, it takes about 4 weeks to 6 weeks, anywhere from maybe 3 to 6 weeks for the algorithm to optimize so that your lead cost goes down a lot. I closed my first deal after 3 weeks. I was cash profitable from my first month running YouTube ads. And I started off spending $4,500 a month roughly on ads. So I was cash profitable from my first month. Then November came around and things started going nuts. New problems arise. Now I have way too many leads for me to physically be able to call. So now I'm like, oh no, I need to hire an appointment setter. I'm scrambling on the weekends to call these leads. I can't keep up. One day I have 20 leads to call, then I have 30, then I have 40, then I have 70. Within a week, I went from having 20 leads to call and actually being able to call them every day to having like 80 or 85. And then I was totally screwed, scrambling to hire an appointment setter. I finally hire an appointment setter. I train him, so now I have to train him frees up my time. I'm stressed like crazy, cannot think straight, don't know what's up from down. I'm training him. He's doing really well off the bat because he had experience in appointment setting. I hired him from onlinejobs.ph, Philippines. He was doing great off the bat. And then what happened from there was now I started to get a boatload of sales calls and my calendar was getting packed up, but I was also doing almost all of my client service myself, except for launching accounts because I had a VA helping me do the bulk of the work there. So now I'm freaking out because my sales calendar's booked. Now I have a guy to train. I'm communicating more and more with my VA who's helping me on client launches. Now I'm getting more support tickets, more and more sales calls. November, I ended up doing like 45K or something like that. And then things just kept on getting worse and worse because then I scaled my ad budget at the start of December, and then things got even crazier. And now I'm making sale. There was a period in December where I made like 30K in 3 days. And between end of last week of November and the first 3 weeks of December, because I took the last week of December off, I did $77,000 in revenue from that. And I was freaking out, working all day, every day, impossible to keep up. So now I needed to hire somebody because I was like, oh no, I'm screwed. I can't keep up with all the client work, the support tickets, the questions. I'm waking up with like 50 emails a day and like 10, 15 text messages every single day. Things are getting crazy. So I had to hire somebody as an admin assistant, operations assistant kind of thing to help me, with the client work, offload a bunch of that stuff. Now I've done that. Things are going way smoother. I'm a lot more relaxed. Now my sales calendar that was booked 2 weeks in advance. So now I need to pick up a salesperson to get myself out of sales so that I can work on the business more than in the business, as I'm sure you all have probably heard a million times. And now I'm on track to do over 100K a month.